Howdy-o, Copy Gang, and welcome to a new journey. Today we're going to be starting a fan fiction audiobook type thing. Please note that this is not official Elestrals content, it is not Elestrals canon, and it is probably going to be completely incompatible with Elestrals canon. And that's totally cool, we just want to make a great story and give more space for Elestrals. Also, thank you to Basic Printer for letting me use their music of the song Ithaca for the intro of this video. And let's begin. We glide over to the island of Nos. This is the birthplace of Leto, the mother of Apollo and Artemis. And to Apollo and Artemis there are shrines. Apollo has a grand temple at the top of the hill in a beautiful polis. But there is also, very importantly, there is a temple, a beautiful shimmering temple to the goddess Iris on this island. The rest of the island is covered with humble houses built from clay bricks with clay tile roofs. The smells are amazing. There's a big focus of food on this town. There is a lot of this village and town and island covered with farmland with beans and corn and potatoes. Soul stalks and Peaglean were the main Elestrals that roved this land. And it is in one of these little clay houses that a particular family is preparing for their daughter's new adventure. Though it is 4:30 in the morning, the sun has not yet risen. Marta, the mother of Lena, is up and cooking. She has been a baker her whole life, and she's putting her skills to a masterclass test. She is rolling dough and baking bread and baking biscuits and making eggs and bacon. The crackling, sizzling sound, the light smoke coming up from newly started pancakes. The sizzles, the brightness from the flame, the smells especially. Marta's Falaferos is in the corner, gently sitting, waiting for the meal to be ready, yawning a little bit as it's so early. But Marta wanted to send her girl off as well as she could. Her father, Leon, also was up. He was steeping some cherries in water to make coffee. Though he didn't seem quite awake yet, he did not seem very alert, moving slow, fumbling around, looking for things. And Lena was woken up by her Elestral, a Peaglean named Patty, who was poking her. He was ready to go eat. He went over to the door and started poking at the door too, anxious. "Wait, little one," she said. Lena rolled out of bed, her hair a mess, and she walked over to the window. She said, "This is really important." She opened her window and looked at the sky. The first golden beams of light were crossing the eastern horizon. All the houses in Nos faced the sun rise for this special moment, and she watched it slowly as it began to rise up. The sky turned into a gentle, faded orange with suspended bright yellow clouds, lustrous in the radiance of Apollo. Patty didn't care. He was ready for breakfast. He kept pecking away. But Lena stood there and she prayed to Apollo for protection, for guidance, for help. She prayed to all the gods even. She knew this island was under the stewardship of Apollo, but she didn't know where this journey might take her. How far it might take her. She might have to go to Hyperborea, the underworld even. And she was nervous about it. What if she couldn't do it? What if it flopped and she was back here in 2 weeks, the laughing stock of everyone? What if she had to have that tough conversation with her parents of, well, we still love you. We don't think any less of you. While she would sit there and think less of herself. Now, she double checked her bags. She double checked the amount of food she had, the tools she had, the maps. And she came downstairs and gave her mom a hug. They both quickly started crying, tears dripping down, dampening their shoulders. She could tell her father, though a quiet man, was also really struggling to hold it in. He came over and gave them both a hug too. And as they ate breakfast, they were still trying to hold it in, their faces a little red, as they knew that this would be the day that Lena would embark. Patty and her mother's Falacane, or Falaferos, ate breakfast together, and the neighbor boy, Atticus, knocked on the door and offered to help carry her luggage. She said, Lena said to wait. Let's see what Iris has got in store for us first. And after the sun had a little time to rise, her mother double-checked a couple things and reminded her things like, don't touch poison ivy. Don't approach snakes, run away from them. Even if a spider looks cute, it's dangerous. And most important of all, learn to hold your tongue, young lady. It's gotten you in so much trouble. And that's just on our island. When you go somewhere where they don't know you, they're not going to be as kind as we are. So learn your manners and mind your elders. Yeah, Mom, whatever, Lena shrugged off. I'm serious. It's a big deal. Yeah. After a while, they started walking up the hill. The temple to Iris was below the temple to Apollo. The temple of Apollo was a beautiful marble temple at the top of the hill with bright red banners and little sunshine symbols. The temple of Iris was a little more tucked away, hard to see beyond the rest of the buildings. It had been there since old times, since the mother of Apollo and Artemis had lived there. It was said that Apollo and Artemis would protect this island in times of need, in love for their mother. Leto herself had become a little figurehead. A goddess, they said, watched over child birthing and child rearing. The temple to Iris had an older style of column, a Doric column that was bright red and much simpler than the flowery style of Corinthian columns that had come later. And inside the temple, there weren't beautiful mosaics or fine glass or beautiful frescoes. There was just sitting room and cobblestones and books. But what Iris Temple did have was a large well. And it was said that this was the first wishing well in the world, and as such, Iris had become the goddess of wishes. Her symbol was even the coin, and Lena had brought in a fine golden coin to toss in. A lot of people knew that Lena were going. I mean, it was a small town after all, and people did talk, and they were all excited for her. Lena had a little mixed of a reputation, but largely any time that one of the town's young folks were heading out, it was a big deal. They were sitting there chattering, talking about their old days, the adventures that they went on, the wishes that they had made, the wishes that had been fulfilled by Iris when they completed their quest. and they were so excited to see what Lena would wish for, though that day would be far away. Lena approached and they began applauding and clapping her on the back. They had sunflowers to give to her. Lena looked down. She felt the shock of high amounts of attention and wasn't super comfortable in it. She avoided eye contact at all costs. She didn't want people to see the redness of her eyes that she had just cried. She didn't know if she could be able to speak if she made eye contact with somebody. But the crowd died down, and her mother said, "Please, please, give her a minute." "Okay, Lena, it's time." Lena walked up to the well and flicked her coin into it. She looked down into this 15-foot wide well, saw all the cobblestone and the mortar that was made of it, and saw the water deep down there. It had just the faintest shimmer to remind you that there was, in fact, water down there. And just maybe she thought she saw a rainbow. Anyway, the oboe she tossed bounced from one side of the well to the other, making little clack sounds. Everybody kind of hushed and held their breath. There was a boom as it hit the water. The little rainbow she thought she saw intensified and brightened. And then, before her, coming out of thin air, was a beautiful woman with colorful blonde hair and very bright rainbow robes. She had wings even. Iris, she was shocked. Lena didn't know what to do. She had never been in the presence of Iris before, or if she had, she'd been too young to remember. Iris looked down at her and said, "Lena, I'm so excited for you. It's your big day." "Oh, don't look so nervous. Come on, you got this, girl. I believe in you," Iris said, throwing a couple fists in the air. "Look, it's not going to be as bad as you think. I know that you got all these pictures in your head of what I'm going to toss at you. I'm going to say, fight a Hydra. No, you don't have to go chase a pin terror. Well, you might." "Okay, Lena." And Iris drifted down and sat at the edge of the well. "You know, since ancient times, I have provided wishes for people on this island who worship and give me coin. And this is no different. And you know that I expect to task a show of devotion to reclaim this wish. There are people around you who have great houses, or have regained their health, or have ended wars with their wishes. Your wish is yours. Of course, I can't make everything happen. Like the Trojan War, couldn't have stopped that. But if there's anything I can do for your wish, I will. But Lena, you have a long road ahead of you. This journey might take you to every corner of the world, and isn't that exciting? Think of the places you'll get to see. Just remember, you're going to be tired. There are going to be days that you want to quit, but just remember that wish. Remember the good that you can do for you, your family, your community, the world. So, onto your challenge. This is one that I've given out a couple times. It's been a few years. It's one of my favorites. She flicked in her hand, and in her hand was a coin. It was perfectly shaped like a coin, with the grooves and the face of a coin, but it was made of glass. And out of it shone a light prism of color, a, a green, a red, a blue, the refractions of light. She said, "Through this coin, I need you to go find 100 stellar Elestrals. Now you might not know this, but the origin of stellar Elestrals happens to be me. I asked the gods one day if it was okay if I could add some color to this world and add some magic, and they thought it was a great idea. And at that time, I began changing the colors of a couple of Elestrals, and that is, in fact, the origin of stellar Elestrals.
Hmm?
I'll tell you though, they're very rare, depending on the species.
Is this not the way to the field?
Some, there might only
Yeah,
even
okay,
be
well,
one out there,
will do.
but you need to seek them out. Some may hide, some may run, some may fight, some may be easy. What I need you to do is go find
None of this
100
specific.
stellar Elestrals and look at them through this glass. And you'll see the shimmering of my rainbow when you know that you've completed your task. Each one will make you a little more powerful, and I'll share a little bit of gifts to you to help you along the way. And of course, if you need guidance or assistance, you don't have to do this alone. You can go find friends, and if you ever need my help, you can just find the nearest well and throw a coin in it, like you just did. So, Lena, what do you think? Do you think you can do it? Lena looked down, terrified. She began remembering again that feeling of, am I going to be that mess? That kid who has to come back in 2 weeks. And then she started thinking, am I wrong to look down on people that have had that happen? And she felt guilty in that moment. Her mind started straying and feeling down on herself again in a new way. She kept finding new ways to terrify herself. She had always been like that. But she knew that she would have to get over it. She nodded and quietly said, yeah, I think I can do that. She was still looking down. Iris said, okay, darling, well, good luck, and everybody here loves you. Iris floated up and began shimmering away. An old man in the crowd said, "What? Lena, there is, your Peakling's cousin. He was a stellar, and he's on, my neighbor's farm right now. We can go over there and get that first one for you knocked right out." Lena began to transfer to game mode. She said, wait, really? He said, yeah, we can go get it right now. And everybody began clapping and patting her on the back and cheering. She was tearing up again. She looked up at her mom and her dad. She'll say, I'll see you later, guys. I gotta go start this. Her mom and dad gave her a hug and said, okay, see you later. As she ran off, the old man led her through little alleys down into these bright corn stalks, these places that she used to play hide and go seek with her friends, these places that she would go to if she needed a minute to think, these places where she would help out if she needed a couple of extra dollars. And they arrived at another farm, a beat down little place with a lot of little Elestrals fluttering about. And she saw it there. Hattie saw it first. He fluttered around, his tail glowing and shrinking and glowing and shrinking, chirping brightly and ferociously as Patty, with his big personality, would. And she saw several other peaklings fluttering around. And a Phalaferos that was her mother's, Phalaferos' sister. And she saw the peakling that was all yellow, bright like a canary, floating in the air lightly and singing a happy song as Patty approached it and started dancing around with it triumphantly. An old man stood at the edge of the barn drinking water. He'd already worked up a bit of sweat for the day. And her new old man farmer friend introduced them. He said, "Well, yeah, go ahead. Anything for your quest, girl." And I heard of a town over's got a soul bell too, so that might be where you want to stop next. Even Lena smiled. A lead, and she indeed took that coin out and looked at Peegleam through it. And within the glass coin, she saw a little bit of a rainbow going, and she felt some sparkles popping off her hand like a little lightness in her fingertips. She started thinking, I might be able to do this. I mean, if it comes this easy everywhere, it won't come this easy everywhere, but if it did, this would be easy. And we wrap out today's story with her walking away with that thought, that uplifting moment of ideas, the capability to take on the world. And if you've been with me this whole time, I appreciate you watching Okapi Game. And just like Lena, you are capable. You can go out there and take on the world. There are going to be things in your way. It's going to be a long journey. But you can restart your journey any day. You can take on a new task whenever you want. And you can succeed. It just takes effort, time. But until then, Okapi Gang, thanks so much. You have a great day. Bye!